Okay, on to the next project. We have is a 93 Astrovan. It's the LT, has the V6 4.3 liter in it, but we're getting a crank no start. Before, when I was messing with it, I was getting fuel pressure, but now I'm not getting fuel pressure, so we're getting spark. I'm gonna start by tearing the tank out and then we'll go from there. We started by testing the fuel relay, and you should get when the key goes to the on position, you should get a 2-second prime for the pump, and I'm getting that. We're just not hearing anything out of the pump back there itself. Got under there and even smacked the bottom of the tank a few times with a hammer, trying to get it to at least kick free and make some noise, but so far nothing. So I think we're gonna go ahead and disconnect the battery and start there. Not getting any pressure at all on the fuel. I have an inline gauge set up and we're not getting nothing there. So we'll drop the tank out and see if we can get a new fuel pump in it and then go from there. Hopefully that'll solve it. Okay, I knew this project was coming up, so I come out a couple days ago and sprayed the 2 strap retainer bolts and see if we can get some of that deep creep in there, and hopefully they'll break loose. That doesn't look too bad under here. Undercarriage actually looks pretty clean, so hopefully these will come out. Of course, there's quite a bit of fuel in here, so I'm gonna have to get a jack under here and hold that weight up. I'll just lower it down and disconnect everything, drag the tank out and get it poured off into some containers, and then see if we can get in and see what's going on with that fuel pump. Okay, well, we put her up on jack stands. Have the straps loosened. I dropped the tank down on an angle and took the filler neck hose off, and now I'm just draining as much of the gas out as I can. I'll get that to where it lightens it up quite a bit and I can handle it to get it down and out of there. So we'll finish siphoning this fuel out and then we'll drop it down and disconnect the hoses and everything else on the top and drag it out and see what we have. Okay, I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this. The tank can drop down. I drained probably almost 10 gallons out of this thing. And down to the fittings at the top. Someone's been in this before. This pump top looks way too clean to be an original, which is good in a way because the fittings are coming out pretty nice. So there's 2 large slip-on tubes on the top, which I assume would be the returns. And then there's 2 that have compression fittings that I'm trying to get to now. I sprayed a little bit of lube on them, let them sit for a little bit, then I'm going to take those off and hopefully we can drop the tank down and open her up, see what we got. Okay, the tank is out. So now I just need to get a brass punch and take that collar lock off. We'll spin that pump out of there and see what damages we have. I don't know if we'll need to get the complete fuel assembly or just the motor, or we're not going to know till we open it up. So we'll get her cracked open and go from there. We have the pump out. Actually, it looks pretty clean. I'm surprised. The filter, most of that's from my grubby hand. But there was some pieces of this, whatever this seal is, in the bottom. It's looking like it's starting to go away. And then there was some mesh that, I see a few pieces of it there. I'm not sure what the mesh is from, unless there's a basket inside. But next step is I'll get the tank moved out where I can work on it a little bit, finish draining the remaining fuel out of it, see where all this mesh is coming from. If it needs to be, the tank needs to be all cleaned out, I'm sure, on the inside, and get it ready to go before we put the new fuel pump in. And then we'll go down and grab one of those and throw it in and go from there. Okay, run into some issues yesterday getting the pump. I didn't have it in stock, so we had to have one ordered in from another store, but we did get it. Everything looks the same. Should be able to get this in there and see how she does. I did check the power coming back in the existing line. There's a pigtail that everything that plugs in up underneath with its own separate ground, and I put the test light on it, and I have the 2-second prime power when the key is in the on position, so we're good back here. We know the wiring's good, the relay's good. And then I tried putting power right to the pump once it's out and sitting here, and it wasn't even buzzing, or we had nothing. So it's definitely the pump. They had the option of buying just the motor. I didn't dare go that route. I just decided to put a whole new assembly in it because I don't want to be taking this in and out over issues with something else failing on that pump if it was just the motor itself. So we'll get this put back in, and then we'll hook the battery back up and put new fuel in. I went and picked up some clean fuel, new fuel yesterday, so we'll prime it and see what kind of pressure we're getting there, and maybe it'll start. Maybe it's not the injection, maybe it was just a lack of pressure. So I'll update you in a bit. Okay, the tank's all put back in. Electrical connector is all hooked back up. Clean that ground surface up, got it all grounded. So now when I turn the key, I have 62 pounds of fuel pressure, and it only drops off to about 58, so we're holding, but it just won't start. I just don't think it's getting fuel through that injection, through that spider injection. So what we'll do is we'll just give it a little blast of starter fluid. And when I do that, it'll start till that runs out, and then it shuts off. So it'll start as soon as the starter fluid runs out, then it just dies again. But at least we know now we have fuel pressure. So, and I've tried throwing all kinds of parts at it. I put an ignition control module in it, changed the fuel pressure or fuel filter. Now we have the new fuel pump in it. We know that's good. New distributor cap, rotor, fuel pump relay, oil pressure sensor. I just put new fuel in it. I don't have any of the OBD1 codes. So I guess now we're gonna set up, take the cover off of it, and I went ahead and purchased the injection system. So I'm going to go ahead and get that put in there, and I think that's the problem. So I'll put it up, set it up on time lapse, and we'll start tearing this apart. Okay, let's just say that is a national treasure. I don't know, that was pretty intense getting that out of there. I've never been into one of these vans like that, but as everyone knows, there's not a lot of room in them, so I had to take quite a few pieces off just to get that intake out of there. But now we just need to get in here and clean this all out. Not sure if someone's been in here before. That gasket looks pretty new. Maybe it is a factory one, but I wouldn't think so. And then I have the other side outside. Here, I will show you it. This. Just started spraying some carb cleaner and stuff down in there. See if I can get that wiped down and cleaned up. It seemed to be stuck. It's freed up now. I loosened the bolts on the back. I was gonna take it off, but and I still might. At least it's functioning now. This thing has just sat for so long that everything's all gummed up on it. But we'll get it all cleaned up, lube back up, and clean this gasket surface up. Get the inside all cleaned up and put that spider injection assembly back in. I'll show you that, and hopefully we'll get her put back together. Got a little bit of a rain delay here. Got everything all scooped up and put away for the most part, but I'll just stay inside here and see if I can keep cleaning on this intake. I have the old spider assembly out. Have it sitting over there so I can keep track of the whole location. I think it's pretty self-explanatory, front, center, and back, but we'll get that cleaned out. The top, I did get it cleaned, so it's ready to go back on. I just need to get this cleaned up in here and put the new assembly on, and then go from there. I'll keep you updated. Okay, we're back on it again. At least the weather's better today. Got the inside all cleaned out here. Put the new spider injection assembly in. Got it all attached and back in position. The injector's all clipped down and fastened. Cleaned the top of it off, inspected the gasket and cleaned it up, sat it on. Then I hooked the power back up, turned the key on and did the 2-second prime. I heard it engage. So I think we have fuel at least up to here, and checked it for leaks and we look good. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the cover put back on her and fasten her down and get everything else put back on, and hopefully we'll be ready for a start this afternoon. Okay. Everything put back together. Ended up having to take that spider injection back out again because the existing rubber seal that goes around it, this one for some reason just would not sit flat down in there. And I know it's supposed to seal, but it was sticking up above the surface, and then when you put the gasket on, set that manifold on there, it was just rocking back and forth. It didn't want to sit down, and I didn't want to risk trying to force it, so I just took it back apart, took the old seal off and replaced it, put it back in, and everything sat down perfect. So got everything hooked up. There's a few hoses that are just old and rotten, and I'm gonna have to go match those up maybe tomorrow and grab some and put those on, but we're gonna give her a test fire and see how we do. front with the pulley, or it's rubbing on one of those plastic shrouds. I'll have to get up there and check that out too. But at least it's firing now. So mission accomplished there. Now we can get the hoses replaced and get this doghouse cover put back on here, and see if we can get this cleaned up and decide what we're gonna do with it. Okay guys, I figure I better do a summary on the Astrovan. This was just a crank no start. Ended up putting a few different parts on the engine itself, but the main issue was the fuel pump, getting that put in, and then the spider injection assembly. That was the main issue. Just wasn't getting fuel. It'd start when I'd give it a spray on the starter fluid, but as soon as it ran out, it'd just die. So I knew it wasn't getting the fuel. But once we put that in, it seemed to have solved the problem. So now we just need to do a few more things on it and decide if we're just gonna sell it or keep it around. Since it's all-wheel drive, we were thinking about putting a lift on it and a little bit bigger tires and make kind of a little off-road camper kind of deal out of it, but I don't know if we're gonna get into it that far. As many other things as I have going on right now. So my suggestion is, if you're having the crank no start, first of all, check and make sure you're check this gray wire right here. Just put your test light in that. When you turn the key to on, you should get that light should come on for 2 to 3 seconds. That'll tell you if that relay's working. And then you can follow that line down. There's a power line that goes in right before that goes to the fuel pump. You can disconnect that there, and also try and just make sure that you don't have a short or something wrong with the line. And then if you can't hear that pump running in there, you're gonna have to drop that tank down, pull that pump out and replace it. Once you have that, if you're getting fuel pressure up to the engine and it's still not starting, chances are it's going to be that spider injection assembly. That was like worst case scenario, but I figured that's what it was. They're not too bad. Once you get that cover off and get in there, get them replaced, but it still takes a few hours to do one. But anyway, let's probably wrap up this project. If I do anything else major on it, I'll add a video, but on to the next.